All right, so what is going on, guys? Wolf Takashi here. I just want to say thank you guys a lot for showing love to my Goku versus Saitama video. It really mean a lot to me because I didn't expect it to hit over 1K in like the last few weeks. I know I've been on a hiatus for 6 months, mostly because my computer was messed up and I was going through some, and then I started going through financial stuff and, you know, a lot of personal stuff, the usual when I dip off from YouTube. But this time it hasn't been like a year. I did see we getting a few more subscribers, so if you are new, welcome to the channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification to get all the notifications for when I post to upload my videos. I did decide that I'm going to make a little playlist for videos like this, but if you want to see more like this but shortened, go follow me on TikTok at Wolf Takashi. I'll leave all my socials down in the description down below, so you guys can go follow me so we can hit 3K over there. But like I said, I really do appreciate you guys, and all love. I'll see you guys at the end of the video. Peace. All right, so I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Hopefully not too long, because to be honest, I really don't like editing half the time, and I am my only editor. I am my only editor at the time. So you know, sometimes editing videos is a pain in the ass. So I'm not gonna try to make this video too long, and you're probably saying, well, you're not trying to make this video too long, then why the hell are you still talking? But anyway, all right, so now that some time has passed, and, you know, I know a lot of people have seen the video of the Asta versus Deku. With that being said, we all can agree that the video was some shit and that dev battle didn't really do a good job at it. So with that being said, I'm here to, you know, provide that video some justice with the proper scaling. Now, we all can agree that Deku and Asta are pretty much the big faces of their shows. Deku being the face of My Hero, Asta being the face of Black Clover. But the real question is, where do they scale against each other? Now, to do this, we're going to have to scale each character individually. So let's start things off with Asta. Now, me personally, I feel like putting Asta against Deku, it's like putting Tanjiro against Asta, or like Tanjiro against Deku. I feel like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a little bit unfair for Asta and Deku. It's unfair for Asta. Like Tanjiro and Deku, it's a little fair for Deku, because Deku would just blitz Tanjiro before he even has time to react. I don't even know if Tanjiro would be able to unsheath his sword without getting blitzed. But yeah, so let's get into Asta scaling. Now, when scaling Asta, we're gonna use his black form 1 that he uses in the Witch's Arc. Now, I feel like this is a good place to start on showing you how strong Asta really is. One of his most notable feats that he has is his fight against Ladros. Although Asta did lose his fight against him at first, he was able to awaken this form, and with him awakening this form, he was pretty much able to one-shot Ladros. Now, as far as his other forms like Devil Union Asta, I feel like we have to go into too much detail on how far he scales up against Deku. I say you can get Devil Union Asta roughly around planetary level with all the, you know, facts that back up from the anime and the manga itself. But, you know, what all that boils down to is black form 1 Asta and base form Asta are roughly around to be multi-continental despite anything else. So if you're in an argument with your buddy and he's like, hey, I think Deku wins, and you're like, no, fuck a bitch, dude, shut up. The Asta wins, dumbass. And you need help, show him this video. You know, show him this video. You haven't hit the like button yet, so you should probably hit the like button. Now get into Deku scaling. Now, if we were gonna scale Deku, we're gonna have to do some digging. We're gonna have to talk about some of the quirks that he has, and those quirks are the Fijin, Danger Sense, Black Whip, Smoke Screen, and the last but not least, Float. Now, if you don't know what any of these quirks do, because I didn't know they exist, I can make a separate video about them on what they do. But the gist of all these quirks is that they all come down from previous One For All users, and the ability gets stronger when it's passed down through generations. So, like, Deku has the potential to surpass All Might and, you know, Endeavor, because Endeavor technically is the strongest hero as of right now, because All Might's out. Yeah, you know the same. Holy, have you hit the like button yet? So, you know, Deku has the potential to become a lot stronger. Now, I feel like this is one thing I feel like a lot of people do, and a lot of anime community people do, and I feel like the My Hero community is somewhat like One Punch Man. Like, I feel like the One Punch Man fandom overly scales Saitama, and I feel like My Hero overly scales Deku. And like I said, to put him against Asta, I feel like that's a little unfair for Asta, and it's really unfair for Deku because, you know, they don't scale. Well, whatever. You know, I get it. You know, a lot of people, you know, a lot of people do their scalings, and I think a lot of, you know, I'm not saying I'm 100% correct a lot of the times, but I feel like, you know, with this right here, I feel like this is pretty obvious. I don't want to call anyone brain dead because I feel like that's mean, but anyway, now to get into Deku's scaling, the beginning of the series he was able to take down large villain robots and was able to easily smash through walls. Now this shouldn't be no surprise when it comes to Deku, you know, because, you know, his most noticeable feat comes from the end of season 1, the Flood Zone, where Deku uses this move called Delaware Smash, and this feat in particular was calculated to require 55 tons of TNT, which is more than enough energy to destroy an entire city, which is fairly impressive. But the way he was doing it, though, it was through a flick, which was creating air pressure. Now this feat alone may not be enough for some people, but it's still fairly impressive, especially when we look at where Deku was at the beginning of the series. So at this time, like I said, you could get him like small city level, somewhere around there, you know. If not, yeah, you could probably, I would say at this time in the series, you could get him around like small city level. Now, one of his other notable feats comes from his fight against Soto. And during this fight against Soto, Soto uses his heavenly piercing ice wall. This move requires enough energy to destroy a small town. So he could go from being small city level to small town level, or maybe large town level, but that's a little bit of a far-fetched, but we'll say small town level. So like I said, at this point you can argue Deku is small town level since he's arguably relative to Soto during this fight. Now this is where things get a little bit spicy, you know, it gets a little, come close, this is where things get good. Okay, now there are other notable feats that Deku has. You know, obviously one of them stems from the movie where him and All Might take on this massive metal structure using a double Detroit smash, completely destroying this structure. This feat was calculated to have a force of 8 megatons, which is more than enough energy to destroy an entire city. Now, since this wasn't Deku's feat alone, obviously, and it took him and All Might to do this, you can say Deku is half of that. So you can say I would say he's roughly small. Now he's roughly small city level, you know, and small town level, or roughly around there, I guess. Now, here's some spoilers for you guys. If you have not read the manga, if you haven't yet, go make your way to reading the manga if you haven't already. With that being said, at 45%, Deku was able to bind and restrain a all-for-one Shigaraki, who was stated to be as strong as All Might and also comparable to a USJ Namu. Now, the same All Might that they're comparing Shigaraki to is the same All Might that has the ability to create thunderstorm just through sheer force, and that force has the ability to destroy large mountains, and he has the ability to move up to maybe 40 times percent the speed of light, which is relativistic to the speed of light now. So you can argue Deku at this point in the manga, at this point he's relative to large mountain level, since in the manga him going 100% against Shigaraki puts him at All Might level, I would assume, since Deku was able to restrain Shigaraki. Now this is, like I said, this is where things gets a little bit better. Or this is where I wouldn't say a little bit. This is where I think things are starting to clear up for people who are scaling Deku. When it comes to Deku, his last notable feat comes from the second movie, where him and Bakugo fight this villain named Nine. Nine ends up creating a massive storm that completely dwarfs islands. Both Deku and Bakugo split the storm using a force of 3 teratons of TNT. Although it was a joint feat like the All Might one, we would have to split this in half for Deku, giving him a roughly around 1.5 teratons of TNT, which is calculated to be enough to destroy a small country level. So, as you guys can see, there's a different scaling when it comes to Asta and Deku, and I feel like Death Battle did not do a good job at that when it came to these two characters. I feel like they lowball Asta just for Deku, and I feel like they wanted Deku to win this because they knew in reality that Asta pretty much slams Deku and there's really no competition. So I feel like it's okay to realize that Deku isn't as strong as some of the verses. You know, like when you get into like Naruto and like Dragon Ball and Jujutsu Kaisen, like those are, and Bleach, like those are out of question. Like Deku wouldn't even come close. Deku would get farted on by those other animes. But like even Black Clover pretty much shit on. Like Captain Yami bodies everybody in My Hero, and even the captains of Black Clover body, you know, everybody in there. But you know, for a conclusion for this video, and you know, to the way to end this video, because like I said, I don't want to make it too long, and I feel like, you know, I think we did a good job at, you know, concluding the video. So in conclusion, to end this video on this whole Asta versus Deku debate, base Asta is relatively faster than Deku, and if you include his forms, you get him to be massively FTL plus. On top of him being multi-continental and relatively planetary, like I said, you can get Asta to maybe low planetary level, or you know, relatively low planetary level plus. And when it comes to Deku's fast, but he's only hypersonic, and if not at 100%, he's only hypersonic plus, and only being scaled to like small mountain level, anywhere up to large country levels. That's where you can really scale Deku against Asta. So like I said, Asta pretty much fodderizes Deku. Shouldn't even been a debate. I don't know why this is still kind of a debate, because I guess the whole Shigaraki thing, I don't know, maybe that's why. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys want to see more videos like this, also let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok at Wolf Takashi if you want to see some videos similar to this, but a lot smaller. Other than that, again, my name is Wolf Takashi. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until next time, peace.